Yeah, I'm fine. Doing well in this lockdown situation. Just trying my best to spend time with my family and watch football now we can. Do you know what I mean? It's all over the TV, Bundesliga, now the Premiership's back. So happy days.
Who did you support?
I'm an Arsenal fan, unfortunately, man. Yeah, it's not good. And our first game back had to be City, innit?
You must be stressing.
Oh man, listen, I've been stress-free for 3 months and now football's back and I've got to watch this. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game. So
How you
let's
finding
not
all the
talk
fans?
about Arsenal. It's odd, man. It's really strange. I think it is going to throw the balance between like that away atmosphere. So like going away is normally hard because of how many opposing fans there are. Somewhere like Anfield, for example, is jumping. Probably the best place I've been in terms of, like, obviously I weren't supporting Liverpool, but when I went and watched the game, the crowd atmosphere was nuts. And without that, I think it could throw the games could go either way. Like, but it does play a very big part.
So kind of speaking about you, how long have you been coaching for?
Oof, coaching since I was about 17. So it's a long time now.
Well, you look young.
Say that again?
You look young.
yeah. I'm young enough. But no, I started coaching from when just coming out of playing football. When you're playing pro, and like I went to an academy, like college, after I come out of playing pro, we had to get our badges. So part of that, from then I've been coaching straight off the back of getting my badges, which was, yeah, God knows how many years ago now, 16, 17 years ago. That's giving my age away. But only really in the forefront of maybe the last 3 years, as this is what I'm doing now, where I'm winding down my playing career myself, and then heavily focusing on playing and managing, as you know, at Kenningwell.
How's that going for you?
It's good, man. You learn a whole different side of the game. As a player, which I very much was before our old managers decided that they couldn't keep it going, and the new school, as I know you spoke to Frenchie, the new school of the new generation took over. There's a lot that goes on in the background that a lot of people just don't know, and they don't appreciate it and won't until they start to do it. But even though it's a Sunday club, I work every single day on something for the club, whether it's conversations with the secretary or putting together things for social media. It's a lot of work, but it's for a very good cause. So, but learning is the key thing that I think I'd say that I continue to do moving forward.
Have you coached on Saturdays by any chance?
I have. It was a player coach role at Sutton Common Rovers.
Okay.
But I found it very hard to play in a team and coach a team that I was still very much a part of on the field. So I decided to step back from that a little bit after the last couple of years. And then this year, I've been presented with a few coaching opportunities. I should be going to coach down at a club called Tooting Beck, which are in combined counties. But I've also had talks with Sutton Common Rovers, where I was playing, about opportunities there as well. So I just need to make a decision about what this year brings. But until the season starts to get closer, I don't know. Yeah, but there are options on the table for this year.
So going off you doing player coach, how hard is it to balance the two?
It's extremely hard. I don't know if other people have found it easier, but it's something that from putting your manager's hat on whilst you're playing, you see two different things. And anyone that's been a substitute or whatever, from when you're watching the game to when you're in it, you will know it's totally different. So trying to have opinions on how the game's going whilst you're on the pitch, you just don't get that other point of view. And again, that level of respect, even though, to be fair, I got it, that hasn't really been a barrier, but that level of, well, you need to listen to me because I'm your manager or your coach, but then if I'm playing, it's like, where's the balance? And I found that divide very hard because I'm playing and coaching my peers that I'd either been teammates with, and the dynamic is just very different. And it's not something that I enjoyed. I think I prefer to do one or the other, not both.
Okay, so did you decide to kind of step down from the coaching role and continue as a player for the rest of the season?
I did last year, at the back end of last year for my Saturday club, yes, because there was enough bodies. Not that I wasn't needed, and if they ever needed help or the coach couldn't make training, I could still put on sessions quite easily. But I wanted to just focus on playing because I still felt I had a hell of a lot to give on the field. I still do, to be fair, but my body's getting older. Niggles take a little longer to get rid of. And my thing is, if I don't feel I can get through the season, at least with a clean bill of health, then maybe it is time to transition into the other side. Because there's still a lot to learn from a coaching element, even though I've coached for so long. When you're coaching in men's football in that environment, team environment, rather than just like one-on-ones or 6-on-1s, and you're actually coaching the whole team, and is very much down to you on how they play and the identity, etc. It's a whole new ball game, and so much that you can learn just even by analysing and watching football matches, to be fair.
So if you had to watch one team to analyse a football game,
who would it be? Just one. At the moment, I don't know if because Bundesliga has been on, but Dortmund, tactically, they are very, very clever, both in and out of possession. And I'd say in the Premier League, Man City, by hands down, like their movement on and off the ball, the runs that they make selfishly, even if they don't get the ball, their ball retention is ridiculous. Barcelona under Pep were on another planet, but he's actually been able to bring that to England. And I don't think we've seen another team like that. Even that Arsene Wenger Arsenal time where we were playing beautiful football, for me, this current day and age of football that Pep's got Man City playing is untouchable at the minute.
So would you call Pep the best manager in the world right now?
100%. He seems infectious. So not only has he, like, Man City had good players, but he has transformed those good players into elite players. And for me, he's done it to the whole club, not just what we're seeing on the pitch. Is definitely happening off the pitch as well. I know a few of the boys there, and they were just all in awe, and still currently are in awe of what he's doing down there. So that's not an easy thing to do either.
No.
So yeah, most definitely, I'd say so.
No, I agree. I mean, he's kind of like transformed it into lower leagues as well. So
100%.
The Championship, League Two.
Yep. It's even happening in non-league. Teams are playing out the back. Like, it's so funny to watch as well, because Saturday football, a lot of it is a lot of old boys, not in terms of age, but definitely mentality. Like, we do it this way. When I was young, if you was playing fullback, it was get it down, clip it in the channel, run into the channels and play the percentage stuff. Now, the conversation is very much, well, how can we play out the back? Expansive football, even the keeper having to have good feet. All of that was not, you didn't even take that into consideration years ago. So he's definitely changed the game.
Would you still say that Klopp's kind of changed the game as well in a certain way of how we now press? Yeah,
100%. I think he goes about his business quietly, but I think he kind of lacks that. It seems like it fits his demeanor. But he has, like, definitely got Liverpool ticking to a whole nother degree, and it works. You can see that they've won. Hopefully they don't win the Premiership, but they're about to win. They're about to win the Premiership, no doubt. I think they're only like 2 games away or something silly.
Yeah.
They've won the Champions League. So what he's got them doing is again different, but very. It's hard to replicate, if I'm honest, because it's down to personnel as well. I think if you was to see a few of Liverpool's personnel change, you may see a different Liverpool.
Yeah.
But again, they've all bought into the way he wants to do things, and he's had time to do that. So it's actually nice to see a club of Liverpool's stature give someone the time, the energy, the backing, the money, etc., to kind of influence his own way and trust that it will work. And now it's bearing fruit. So yeah, Klopp's an amazing manager. Both of them, to be fair, very different. You get very different things from both of them, but they're showing that it works.
So if I'm talking to you as you're a coach, you manage on Sundays, you've coached on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Is your philosophy more like Klopp's or more like Pep's?
I would say it's more like Pep's.
Okay.
I think as a player, tactically, the way that I read the game, don't get me wrong, I'm for the high press. But if you play against teams that can beat it, then there needs to be another dimension. And where we have players on a Sunday, we don't train, it's very hard to implement that style, Klopp style, to get it right. Because if you get broken out of, then you may have 4 to 5 players on the wrong side of the ball. And that could be a very, very long day. But I think tactically, Pep, and the minor subtle changes that he makes to the way even people defend. I don't even know if you've seen the video that he's got with Carl Walker, where it's just body positioning. As a defender, you always used to get taught to be side on, etc. And he's talking about small pigeon steps to then you can change either direction. There's little things like that I believe can increase your game even by 1 or 2%, that can make the team better in that individual. And I think that is how I kind of base my philosophy. And I love to keep the ball. As a player, I was good with my feet. I say was, like I'm not playing still, but I like to keep the ball. I can pass, etc. So that kind of fits the way I play more, and that's probably my coaching style. If you was to ask around, they will probably say the same.
So was Sutton Comarovers the only Saturday team you've coached so far?
Yeah, I would say having free reign. Yes, I would say so. In terms of implementing or helping out, I've coached at probably every club that I've been at some degree or at some level. But I think at free reign, being part of the management discussion about players, etc., then yeah, I would say Sutton was the only one for now.
So how different is it to coach Saturday league players and train them, and you have to communicate with them throughout the week compared to Sunday?
Yeah.
How hard is it to kind of adapt?
It is tough. And if the one thing I don't like, and don't get me wrong, we could put training sessions on, but a lot of my boys play Saturday. So then they'd be playing Saturday, Sunday, training, or playing Tuesday and Thursday. And if I want to add another day, that's 5 days. Some of the boys would be able to do that, but others have families, etc. So you have to take that into consideration. And obviously, we don't want to burn them out. So that is probably one of my biggest bugbears, because you have to have a level of, not it's only Sunday, because I don't think anyone involved, even in the league, takes it as just only Sunday. But you have to have some form of, well, I'm only telling you this now. So if it doesn't happen on the pitch, I can't be too harsh on you. I need to understand that from my own point of view. So I think that is the toughest part. But the boys we've got down at the club, where they do play Saturdays, they understand a lot of the ideas that we'll try to implement. It's just about trying to communicate it early enough so they've got time to digest it, so it can transition onto the pitch. Not expecting to say it in the team talk and then see it 5-10 minutes later. It just will be ludicrous. But I know that does happen at some clubs. But with Saturdays, yeah, you get a lot more time with them, and you see development either over a period of time or over the season to how people are progressing, where on a Sunday, they'll just be playing. So you're almost seeing them progress on the pitch. That's it, kind of thing, which is a bit different. You don't get to see the behind the scenes element of them. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, Saturdays is a lot more intense, and some people find it as a job more than
exactly it.
And then Sundays is where a lot of people come down and have fun. But nowadays it's kind of changed. And I said this to friends.
It is. Yeah.
It's taken a lot more serious nowadays.
It is. And I think you'll find it's because of the competition. Like, I'm not just saying it, and people will say, oh, it's just Sundays or whatever. But the Sunday league that we're a part of could definitely rival, I would say, a combined counties Prem, and maybe even some Ryman South teams. Like we've played some. I know other clubs have played some. We haven't lost to them. I know we weren't full strength and they weren't, or whatever you want to call it. But we can definitely hold our own with those. And a lot of our boys play higher than that. And it's just testament to them, if I'm honest, and their Saturday league managers for allowing it. What you're seeing a lot now is, you can't play Saturdays and Sundays because we do this and we do that. But I think as long as they find a balance and there's respect between the clubs, then it can work, because we work with Saturday teams. So there might be times where the boys have got a Monday game or a Tuesday game, and we'll either rest them on a Sunday or give them limited minutes so they're not fatigued, and having that relationship with the Saturday team. And we've shown and proven that it can work.
How hard is that to manage?
It's tough, man. Especially if you got a big game on a Sunday and you're having to rest like 4 players, which has happened to us a number of times last year. With some of the boys that played for Kenningwell, played for Sutton with me as well. Our home games on a midweek, depending on Sutton United playing, was on a Monday. So they may play Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I wouldn't allow them to play on the Sunday. One, because I care for them. It's about them first and foremost, and not fatiguing and picking up niggles and injuries. So yeah, I'd lose like 3 or 4 of my players on the Sunday, and we could have a big game. So it's tough, but it's about having the right balance in the squad. Our squad was big, and some of the boys are like, I think it's too big. But there's times when people on a Sunday, unfortunately, go out, don't turn up, or things like this where we have to have players that are ready to come in and perform.
That's crazy. So how long have you been at Kenningwell?
I think this is my 6th or 7th year. I signed for them 3 or 4, for about 4 years ago I played for them. And this would have been my 2nd year managing, obviously, but the season got cut short. So I'm going into my 3rd season managing, and I believe my 7th year with the club.
Okay, if you could put one word on Kenningwell, what would it be?
Winners. I think the reason why I say that is because winning encompasses so many different things. From the moment I came to the club, the aura of the club was big. And do you know what is weird? I spent a lot of my time, I lived in Southwest London at the time. I spent a lot of my time playing football on the other side, let's say, on Sundays for like Carib. That's where I was born and raised over that side. So like Dulwich, Brixton, Summer League and stuff. Never really heard much about them just because we weren't in the same league or whatnot. And I don't think Sundays were that big where people cared about who was playing and whatever.
Yeah.
But when coming, just the level of everything, like no one was late. If the meet was 9 o'clock, everyone is there before 9 o'clock. We're there having breakfast with each other at 9. On away games, we were getting packed lunches. The kits were nice. The pitch is amazing. It's like carpet. So the level that they set such a high level for a Sunday. I'd been at that when I first joined on the Sunday, they were treating us better than Saturday clubs. Like it was run far more better than a lot of Saturday clubs I'd been at, and I've been at a few. Do you know what I mean? Over my time from like Ram and Prem down or whatever. And I'm telling you, the level of treatment that you got there as a player, all you could do is give your all for them because of all of what they were giving to you, not just on a Sunday, but conversations after. So for me, that winning meant, and all they wanted you to do is just turn up, give your all and win. But there's layers underneath that it attracts a certain type of individual that wants to come and give their all for the club and then holds them dearly. And that's why players stay around for so long. And even now, like the new committee are all of old players that have been there for a very long period of time. So, and it is now we're talking about 4 to 5 generations and deep in the club. If you look around, I don't think that happens very often.
No.
Going for 50 years plus and having 5, 6 generations worth. And the way that I'm trying to build this club now with the committee is so that in 10, 15 years time, my son can be playing or managing if he wants to choose to manage or coach in the future. And the same with the boys that are part of the club now. Very much trying to put in that continuous cycle of understanding their needs as a player, as a person, even putting people through their coaching badges So then in turn, if they want to come and coach for us, or when we start other things going, that we can kind of close that loop and provide for the community is a very big thing with us. So trying to put it in one word is hard, but I would say that one, just because it encompasses so many other things. You can't just turn up on the pitch and win. There has to be a lot of things in place for you to be able to do that.
So that's amazing, if I'm honest with you. It's so good to hear, because you don't see many clubs like that, even in Saturday football. You don't see people staying through and actually loving the club. So it's quite rare to have loyalty nowadays.
Yeah.
Going into your team talks now, obviously, I don't want you to give too much away, but going into your team talks, what's the information kind of load between Sundays and Saturdays?
I really think it depends on who is delivering the message. So for me personally, I like to keep things very short and simple, because when you do that, the likelihood of someone remembering is high. But if I overloaded you 10 minutes before the game, you might be thinking, "Oh, what do I need to go out and do again?" So for me, 3 objectives is more than enough, and not per player, as a unit. And then you have individual conversations which that you will have with your players that leads to them contributing to those overall goals. And hopefully that those goals are enough to win the game. It depends who you're playing. Sometimes it will be about containment, and other times it's just about going out, having fun, expressing yourself, and doing what they can to win the game and manage the game. So it varies. I wouldn't say there was a difference between Saturday or Sunday. I think even at Saturday, you can overload the players with information as well. So short, concise, and to the point is very important.
So would you say you have the same kind of mentality when you go into Saturdays and Sundays when it comes to team talks?
Yeah, I think I've got more. I think on a Sunday, I think it's more important for me, because the buck stops with me there. So if things go wrong, and anyone will tell you, I do this as a player as well, to be fair, even if we win 4-1, I'd be thinking about how, not just not conceding, but what else could we have done better? Not just resting on, oh, we've won 4-1, let's go home and have a good time. Yeah, we're going to go and have a good time. But it's that the analysis after is always something I do. Even as a player, I was like, okay, well, how many passes did I give away? How many passes did I play forward? Yada, yada. So constantly, like, my biggest critic. So on a Saturday, it didn't lie with me. It hasn't yet. As a coach, I'd be giving information into the management team for them to deliver, and then maybe having a few conversations with the boys individually. But Sunday, it's me that is delivering that speech, depending on what it is. So you have to be very mindful of that. So I'd say Sunday would definitely hold more weight at the moment for me. May change in the future, but yeah.
Of course. So now going back to you as a player, who did you used to play for?
So when I was a kid, I'd say from like under 11s, I was at Palace for a little while. Then Gillingham for about two years. And then I was at Charlton for a year when they were in the Prem. That's showing you how old I am. And then I got injured, but I don't know. Things happen, innit? Like people, you know that, oh yeah, I got injury in this. I think I was on the cusp of easily becoming pro. Whether or not it would have been at Charlton or somewhere else, I definitely was knocking on the door. And then after that, my knees were just never the same. When it got cold and the ground got hard, I'd never lasted. So I'd say from having the op on my knee after Charlton, every year around the January times, I would get injured. Even up until now, I don't think over the last 3 years, I think I've had an injury a season at least, whether or not it's my knee, my back, my groin, something. So yeah, and then I just fell into, I went to what they used to call ProTech. There was one in North London, and then they started one in South London that was attached to Lewisham College, and heavily attached to Charlton. So that's how I got informed about it, is that my coaches were like, oh, well, like, don't stop playing. You can come and do this, still be in an academy environment. And some of my coaches that were at Charlton were coaching at ProTech, where we trained every day. It was almost run like a pro club still, but then you had to do like BTEC in something or whatever. So I had a year there because I was 18, I think, or 19, and when my birthday fell, I still got another year. Then just went into play semi-pro ever since then. I started at Chipstead. I think I broke into their team on and off because I was there. Then I went Charlton, then come back. At 16, I think I was, playing first team men's football. I was there for years, actually. Won the leagues there, many a league there, I think. Then went to Tooting and Mitcham. That was probably my favourite club. And the best team, I think, as a team, the best team that I played for. We got to the first round proper of the FA Cup, played against Stockport, got battered 5-0, but let's move on from that one. But yeah, I used to play wide. I was a winger. Me and Mikel Antonio, either wing, who's now at West Ham. We were causing some damage. And the team, Vinesy up front, just scored goals. The whole team dynamic was good. But it was there that they used to play 3-5-2 sometimes. So I wasn't really a defensive-minded player at the time. So I had to learn to come and play in the 10, which changed the whole dynamic of my game. Having to play in there, you see different things. You have to have less touches, etc. And then going back out on the wing, I was like, oh, I can't beat people anymore. So I then started to play central midfield or like a DM because I'm good with the ball, or attacking midfield. And yeah, I've played for Whiteleaf, won the league there, Croydon Athletic for a little while, back to Chipstead, I think back to Whiteleaf, just in and around the circuit. And then SCR, Sutton Common Rovers over the last couple of years, there where we finished second last year and we should have gone up the year before. But then this year, I don't know if I'm going to be playing there or coaching at Tooting or coaching wherever. So, but yeah, that's kind of a small, quick snapshot summary.
So you played quite a bit of football for many years.
Yeah, long time.
I've asked this to a few of the coaches. How easy does it make your transition into coaching?
I think if it can make it easier because players resonate with you a lot quicker, I think, than someone that they may not know. So I'll give you an example. I've taken a training session a couple of weeks ago with boys I don't know at a club that asked me to come down and put on a session. I joined in. As soon as I joined in, anything after that I told them to do, they listen. Where I know that sometimes that there is that divide between, who are you? Should I listen? Am I going to join in the session properly? And because I've had that even with players that I know. But I think it gives you a good starting base for actually understanding what you're asking players to do. But still, you have to be a student of the game and learn. Because I've never played in every position, so I don't fully understand all of them. I understand some, but then it's that element of knowing your weaknesses and learning, and then making it relatable to whoever you're coaching. And that's what I think I've found is how the best coaches are adaptable. Yes, they will have core fundamentals, but I need to also be able to adapt to who I'm coaching as well. So it's learning and understanding the individuals that I'm coaching and expecting things from, because people work in different ways. They have different triggers for different things and stuff like that. So I definitely think it helps, but it's not the end all be all. And I know very good coaches that have never played. And then they take it from the flip side and surround themselves with a few players that have, to lend that information to them. But yeah, definitely a good start, I think.
So would you, as personally for yourself, would you say actual coaching, like the productive side of it, or the theory side, helped you more?
I like doing and watching, like, still with pride. Like any good coach will tell you that as well. Go and watch other coaches coach and go, oh yeah, I like that bit. Oh yeah, I like that, and nick it. you don't have to reinvent the wheel. A lot of people feel in life you don't have to do that, but a lot of people feel that they have to. I definitely think doing, I learn best from, but I don't take away the fact that I still do have to do the theory side. So even watching football, sometimes you just watch football to enjoy it, and there's other times when you're watching football to see what you can learn from it. You can learn that way as well, and from other coaches. So it's about what network you're pulling in around you, so you can learn from different avenues. Otherwise, it becomes boring. If I just sat you with a book every day, you might read it, but do you know what I mean?
I get it.
So there are different ways of that book being cemented into here, and it's how best and it works for you, and changing up the context of the books in different ways and chunks so it does sit and resonate with you. Because otherwise you're not doing yourself justice, but you're also doing a disservice to the players that you're managing. If I can't relate or understand what they may have been doing at the time, how can I correct it and coach them to be better?
So you said something about networking. How important is it as a coach to have a good network?
It depends where you want a job. It's very important. Football is a very small network. A very, very small network. As good as your name can get, if your name gets tarnished, it can stay there. And any player will tell you that. And it can happen exactly the same with management and coaching. Between even just players. There's coaches that I've had that have come down and through other players that, like, oh, no, I didn't get on with him. So, and your whole attitude towards the coach or the session may just throw off. So for me, it's very important to have a positive network around you, one that you can learn from, a mentor if you've got the time to be taught that way. Because the game's evolving. Like I said, I did my first 2 badges when I was like 17, 18. If I tried to use what I knew then and bring it as taught to nowadays, it just wouldn't work. It's nuts. Even if you go and do your badges now, they're not going to be the same. They're not teaching it the same way. So you have to be able to adapt, and you can only do that through people. And if you want jobs in certain clubs, you will see that there is a very small network of managers getting jobs at different clubs, but it's the same managers. You very rarely see new faces on the scene, and that happens at every level, not just the pro level. It definitely happens on the non-league level as well.
So if I'm going to put you in a scenario now where your first team manager, let's say of Kent United, how do you plan for pre-season?
See, I like high ball rolling time. So for me, it's knowing what you've got to work with already, knowing their strengths and weaknesses, putting on sessions that are going to challenge you in your physical attributes, technically and mentally, first and foremost, and then see the development throughout the pre-season. Bringing in players where you may have weaknesses. So if I was new to that club and I've gone, okay, well, I think I need a left back and a right winger, is trying to find those and build in early and embed them in as early as possible. But also it's about getting the players buy-in. Like I said, about understanding them. I give you an example for what I'm doing at the moment. I've said to the guys, if they can do a lot of cardio in the week, which we're tracking, then we'll play a lot of football when it comes to training day. But if they're not fit, then we're going to have to run when they train or implement some form of running when they train, even if it's with the ball. So it's about what they're giving back as well. Because I'd love to get the ball. I was a player. Like, no one likes running with no footballs or not seeing footballs for ages. And we are playing football. Yeah. Sure. But at the same time, you need to you're running for a long period of time, and you need to have a decent level of fitness. No club that I've been at or won anything with has had unfit players. Not one. So there are core fundamentals that you need as a player. And if you're not willing to do it in your own time, then we can do it in the time you're going to be here. But actually, if you want to be more productive and learn about tactics and the way of play and the way we want you to play with the ball, then it's about what you're putting in off the pitch as well. And that is very hard at non-league level, because people have now, maybe in like COVID, fine, because people are at home, but definitely when normal life kicks in and you're having to go to work 9 to 5, and then trying to put in that extra, you get some players that do, a lot that won't, or some that can't. So it's about trying to find that balance. But like I said, it goes back to understanding who you're working with, and then tweaking the sessions to kind of stretch their development as well. Not just making it, yeah, it's doable for them. Is how can, for me as a coach, you're there to, yes, have a good team, but also help and develop the individuals that you're coaching. Otherwise, what are you actually doing? You're just putting on sessions for people to fill time. That to me doesn't sit well. And I think not a lot of coaches at non-league level, I don't want to be too harsh. Maybe the game has changed now, but from old, I can count how many managers I've had that I felt cared about my personal development, not just what the team was doing and winning. So I don't think you get a lot of coaches that care about the individuals that they're coaching in the betterment for their team. Yeah. And I'd like to see that change.
So how important is man management in coaching nowadays? It's
the most important thing. And do you know what? A lot of people confuse football with just general life and make it harder than it needs to be sometimes. If I know you and I know your why, what motivates you, what gets you up in the morning, etc., and I can pull on that, I can almost get you to do anything. You'd run through brick walls. But if I don't know you, you might do it just because that's the person you are. But if you need motivating one day and I don't know who you are, how am I going to do that? So man management is very important. And a lot of people miss that trick. Even with good performances and bad performances, there's too many times where you might have a bad performance and then just get dropped out the team and no one talks to you. And you're like, well, okay. How can I as an individual better myself to be back in the team if no one tells me what I've done wrong? You and yourself may know that you've had a bad game or whatever, but that man management element can allow me to have the information, understand it. I might not agree with it, but I can understand it as a human, as a man, and then do something about it or not. But if I don't, then my expectations of being back in the team have to be realistic. Do you see what I mean? So for me, that man management trick, even when they're playing well, those one-on-one conversations where you're saying, well done for that, this is what you did, keep going, and you're staying in the team for that, is equally as important for when it goes wrong. And understanding how you can motivate your boys and what makes them tick is very, very, very underrated.
Who would you say out of all time, as long as you've watched football, who is the best manager that's done it?
I think behind closed doors, Alex Ferguson. There was something about, if you look at some of those Man United teams, yeah, on paper, they weren't the greatest, but they were winning everything. There's something in that. Whether or not they were scared to lose, I don't know. But for me, he definitely had that spot on. I think modern day, at the moment, from what you see, is definitely between Klopp and Pep. Their love, their passion, and I mean, from seeing it on TV, we can get that kind of notion. Imagine what's happening daily on the training field.
Yeah.
And I think no matter who puts on that Liverpool shirt, or Man City shirt, to be fair, you see them run through brick walls physically on the pitch. They don't leave anything to be desired. And that, for me, definitely is largely to do with both managers. It's very different styles in terms of not playing, but I mean in terms of man management of what we can physically see from the screen. But I definitely feel modern day, those are the two that I think it feels and it looks as though it's happening well off the pitch as well.
Would you agree that Robertson is like a perfect example?
Mate, that guy's unreal. I don't know where they found him, yeah, but for how much they paid for him. I know obviously where he was and stuff, but he is arguably one of the best left backs in the world. And yeah, I think that nurture, that the belief that he must feel from Klopp has taken his game from being probably an average player when he was at was it Wolves or Hull he was at?
He was at Hull.
Yeah, Hull. I always forget because they play in the same colour. But at Hull, and obviously there had to be some form of potential there for him to step up and play for Liverpool. But look at the difference. And you might say, yes, the training behind the scenes, tweaking that, great, fantastic. But he still needs to come on game day and deliver and feel like he can deliver. And I think that is definitely got to do with the belief from not just Klopp, but the management team that he's put together there at Liverpool, definitely.
No, 100%. So would you say, if you had to pick one, Trent or Kyle Walker, which one would it be?
Ooh, are we saying like prime Kyle Walker?
Yeah.
Because today's Kyle Walker...
He's a bit iffy.
Yeah, but he's getting old, isn't it? That's a tough one. I think I'm gonna go Trent. You know,
why?
And the reason why I say that is because I think they both leave a little bit to be desired defensively. I think Kyle Walker defensively though has improved, but I think going forward, crossing ability. Trent is ridiculous, if I'm honest. And he's got, even the fact that we're comparing them and Trent is at the beginning of his career and Kyle Walker's on the other side. He's not finished, but he's on the decline side. I think that's testament to Trent. So I'm going to go with that. But both unbelievably, in terms of the way that the new fullbacks are, they're both very good players to model the new young fullbacks off of.
So you used to play kind of in the middle of the park or on the wing, right?
Yeah.
So when you was playing in the middle of the park, what did your coach expect from you?
I think when I first started at Tooting, we had a manager called Billy Smith, who again, like man management skills, he would talk to you and you would feel like he was the only person in the room, kind of thing. Like it was really good. His expectations from me playing in the 10 was to provide. Chip in at the time, chip in with the odd goal, but I think the game's changed. Now you expect your attacking midfielders and wingers to score loads of goals, where I think at that time when I was at that club, strikers scored goals and forwards. That was it. Everyone else just chipped in, kind of thing. And I did that there. I think I assisted quite a lot of goals, and I think I was that old school winger, beat a player, put a cross in. I would grab probably 10 a season, but in central midfield I didn't get as many goals, but I definitely was far more influential on the game, and it's about making the game tick. That's what he was very big on. And in the 10, if you're not in the game, you're the first person to get dragged.
Yeah.
So it was making sure that I was always in the game and popping up into positions where he expected me to be able to provide the link between the midfield to the forwards, really. I'd say definitely at that club. At other clubs, it changes depending on the dynamic and who you've got. But yeah, definitely at that club, it was that.
So now you as a coach, do you expect something similar or do you expect a whole different kind of thing?
Yeah, I do. From my number 10, definitely. I think I expect them to be a little bit more dynamic than what was expected of me then. Something Ozil gets a bit slated for, where I feel that just with him, the team's not good enough to play with Ozil. I know that it might sound like he's like Billy Big Balls or something, but if the players were on his wavelength, you wouldn't be expecting him to run 50 yards to go and defend. That's not what he's good at. But the team's not set up in a way that complements him, where I was lucky enough. And to be fair, I always worked hard. Not defending didn't actually come into my game there. But I think now the modern day 10 is actually a central midfielder, rather than that luxury, that cheat or luxury player that people would call him now, because a lot of teams play with three in the middle. So you can't afford to switch off and be the luxury in there anymore. So I think in there it's about having the balance. But I'm very much of the opinion, if we dictate the ball, then you can find yourself in those positions. But if we're not dictating the ball, then you need to just be defense-minded and keep the shape to make sure we don't get broken down easily. And give the players the freedom to manage the game as well. So they need to identify that, not just wait for me to scream it out from the sideline every 5 minutes. Otherwise, the one time I don't is when we get broken down. So they need to identify those pockets in the game when they're able to play in those lanes in between the midfield and the forwards and get on the ball. But I always expect my team to dictate the ball, if I'm honest. Just philosophy, I think.
How hard is it to kind of find or even teach certain players to understand and be able to learn themselves rather than, or even know themselves what to do rather than waiting for the coach?
Yeah, it's hard. It's a very good question. I think that is probably definitely a frustration of mine. But then again, you have to take into consideration where they've been coached before. I'm not saying that I'm like the greatest coach or whatnot, but in terms of the levels of coaches that I have luckily had, my learning has been good. There's grown men that I've been coaching that still don't check their shoulders, that play in central midfield that don't check shoulders before receiving or moving into space, and those things were drummed into me very early. So then seeing that, or not seeing it, should I say, little things like that are frustrating. But then you have to try and develop a new way of learning for them, because remember, they've been playing the game for a hell of a long time, not doing it, or maybe doing it not knowing, but just maybe once in a while they'll do it, but it's not drilled into them to do little things like that. So yeah, you have to find the balance between the player understanding that. It goes back to what we were saying before, the man management and understanding who you're actually talking to when giving instructions. Because the way I may tell player A may be like, well, you should know better, but player B would be, well, come on, you need to try this, because so my approach and angle is totally different, because they need to take it on board in different ways as well. Kind of a roundabout answer, but yeah, it really depends who you're giving the information, but it is very frustrating.
So would you agree in saying that youth coaches now are very important to what happens?
100%. Yeah. From the ground up, from like grassroots all the way to the professional game, because even to give you an example, old school strikers when we was younger. So there was times like at Gillingham, I played up front for a long period of time. For whatever reason, the coach thought I could play there. I scored quite a few goals there, actually, to be fair. But if you were a black player, you needed to be big, strong, and quick, like the Emil Heskey. That's what they were looking for. They wanted someone to be able to put in behind, and you're just going to chase it down all game, be big, strong, and fast. And I wasn't fast. I wasn't weak, but I wasn't the strongest. My game was totally different. So then having coaches, like the amount of times I got told at clubs I was too small. But then I could imagine if I was playing in Spain, I would have been fine. Do you know what I mean? There was a period of time where I didn't grow for ages. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a bad height now, but there was a period of time where I didn't grow for a while. But technically, there was I would say I was top 2 in every club I went to, top 3 maybe, but technically gifted, maybe not the quickest, good football brain, etc. But the coaches, some of them were on that, but not all of them were. But then you don't know who's making the decisions and what their mentality is like. So this new pep wave that we were discussing earlier, if that's happening and the style of football is happening from young, and we're teaching technical ability, and it doesn't matter about how quick and etc. you are, but you can actually complement the game in the position you're playing in, then that should hopefully carry through into the pro game. You're seeing it a lot more now anyway. There's different types of players like coming into the game that before definitely would not have got the chance to even express themselves. But it's good to see that it's changing and evolving. And that's only happening through newer coaches coming through. The style of coaching that England are now adopting is totally different. It's not the same, and it's not as rigid as it was before. So hopefully that just keeps lending to change. That's all I could say.
So nowadays, the FA expect every single coach who do coach kids to have FA level 1.
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it needs to. It's like, would you hire a plumber with no qualifications?
Good question.
That's all I'd say. But there needs to be level 1 doesn't give you much. If like we're totally honest, it is basic drills and stuff. But you know what? A lot of coaches that are dedicating their time, or just people that are dedicating their time to provide a platform for kids to learn and a safe space for them to play football, I am always going to be on their side, regardless of if they got coaching badges or not, because they're trying to do a good thing. But I think that just gives them a better foundation of knowledge. And that's what I would say is that is, I don't know if mandatory should be the term we use at that level, because if they're starting at 6, the likelihood that you're going to use any of those coaching drills are probably low anyway. If we're talking about basic grassroots football, yeah, I just commend that people are still willing to give their time to the kids to be able to express themselves in a safe space. And from a qualification perspective, it's just a good add-on to have for a good platform to start from, to see children progress and develop, I suppose. Yeah.
Have you ever coached kids?
Yeah, it's hard, man. But to be fair, coaching men is just as hard. It's a different dynamic though, totally different. You want to try and keep the same fun element in both men and children football. But again, you can't be too hard on some of the kids depending on what level you're coaching at in terms of player, like the player level, or are you just putting on Sunday or weekend sessions for them to come and enjoy football, etc. You need to be very careful because there's a fine line between overcoaching and allowing the kids to just enjoy it if that's what they're there for.
See, I find that the kids are easier to coach than the men.
Yeah, they definitely are, but I think that also depends on the sessions that you're putting in. Do you remember that credibility bit that I was talking about? Like, I join in, they're listening. Sometimes you don't get that everywhere you go. So then the session needs to be developed to their needs. Obviously, the first time that you do it, or maybe even the first couple of times you do it, you're still learning and feeling out who you're delivering for. But that's when you as a coach need to understand that and then make sure if you are losing people, that maybe it's your session. If you've got long waiting around times, everyone switches off. I've been in sessions, even I can appreciate the coach, but if I'm standing around for too long, I switch off. Or I might start talking about what I was watching on Netflix. Like, it happens. But if you can keep people engaged and the tempo is generally high, hopefully you're working with characters that want to be involved. Because sometimes you get that as well. They're just there because they have to come training, which is the hardest thing about men's football, I think.
So now going into your experience, coach, if you had to give 2 tips to a younger coach, what would it be?
Yeah. I would go back to saying what we said before about learning. Find a mentor, I would say, that fits your style of how you would like to coach. I think that's definitely 1. And then 2 is it's okay not to know where the end goal is, no pun intended. But I've seen a lot of coaches and a lot of good coaches stop coaching because either they're not making enough money or they don't see a future in it, in becoming a pro coach. But it's just knowing the level. But it's okay throughout your journeys to not know, but then there needs to come a point where it needs to click. Does that make sense? There needs to, it may naturally happen. There's no age limit on that, but I would say definitely learn. And then it's okay to kind of experience that low of what do I do now? But if they're on it and this is what they want to do, is definitely just surround themselves with good people and learn from the right individuals, know and understand where they're getting their information from.
So would you say you learned that quite early or quite late?
Yeah, I think I take that into life. I think the reason why I'm saying around knowing where to go is because I stopped coaching. I had my own company at like 19 because that's what I wanted to do. I was focused at wanting to coach football because I just wanted to give back after being let go from clubs. I thought, oh, how can I give back to the youth that maybe the next generation or whatnot.
Yeah.
And then that happened to me. I was making bit part money. I'd make good money in the summer holidays, but then through the year, maybe not enough to keep going. And at 19, 20, living at your mum's or wherever, that might be all right. But I had other ambitions to kind of succeed in other stuff. So it had to take the back bench, but I solely just left it alone, thinking that wasn't making me money. So let me move on. But what I've learned about coaching is that it will very rarely make you the money that you want it to unless you fully commit. But that is like anything. And I think as an adult, you kind of learn that later. So that element definitely learned later on in life. But I think surrounding yourself with the right people and knowing, you get a lot of information in life, right? Through whether it be about football or anything else. And it's understanding what you need to take on and keep and what you need to just park and say, yeah, no problem. You'll get the same thing in coaching. People that are teaching you, it doesn't mean that you're always wrong. Always come up with new ideas. You can try new stuff and just be brave enough to say is what I say. Express yourself, because there's nothing worse than you becoming your own coach, but you're delivering other people's sessions. They need to be a bit of you in there, or a lot of you in there, should I say. Because if it's not, it does come across to other people that you either don't know what you're talking about, which actually might not even be the case, but because it's not your session yet, and it might be just a few tweaks to the drill that make it your own, or if you're a fun, bubbly person, are your drills like that, or are they just dead and boring? So it's about adding your own personality to what you're doing as well, and not being scared to do that, regardless of what information you're receiving, maybe not to do it or whatnot. There's no right and wrong way. If people are developing and getting better and you're seeing results, then your coaching's working.
No, it's interesting, and I actually agree with it. I coach on Saturdays and Sundays, so
nice.
I do agree with it. Your worst moment from last season, that season just gone?
One of the games that we lost. We to be fair, we didn't lose a few games, but I think I'm gonna say Farnborough Old Boys. The reason why I think that was my worst loss last year was because I know what they're about. Their spirit is something I definitely commend. They don't stop. Like, they're like almost like Lullenstone. Those two clubs, for me, don't get the recognition they deserve. But when I'm prepping, they're the two hardest games, regardless of if we're playing some of the teams that are at the top that we know that are going to be good footballing sides. It's those two clubs, I would say, that cause us the most problems through sheer heart, determination, willpower, etc. And the reason why I think that was my worst moment was because I knew it was going to happen before the game. And I don't think the boys have never got an attitude like, oh, we're just going to turn up and roll people over. They're not like that at all. But I thought they felt, well, we're at home, we beat them at their place, so we should dictate this game. And that attitude of, well, we should dictate the game, started to creep in. And I think they beat us 3-2 or 3-1 or something like that. Through, again, sheer heart, determination. And it was one of our hardest games of the season. I think we lost 2 other games, but that game was definitely the hardest one. But I could see it happening way before in all of the prep, saying if they don't turn up today, they will get rolled over. Because even though we did beat them at their ground, it was not an easy game. And it went to the wire at their ground. I think we beat them 1-0. So I knew it was going to be a tough game at ours, and we ended up losing it. So I think that was probably my worst moment for last year.
You know, hearing you speak, it just sprung a question to my mind. How hard is it to kind of judge Sunday league teams compared to Saturdays?
Yeah, that's really hard, man. Because you haven't got a scout that goes out and watches the other team play. and then sometimes what you think you know may change because their Sunday players are different than what would be there before. So it's hard, and you can only really go off of your previous encounter with the team, or if anyone that, like, we all talk to each other. I know a lot of people from every club in our league, to be fair, and good friends with a lot of the teams as well. They will ring me, oh, we've got such and such this day. How did you find they play? So we had a few new boys in our league last year. No one really knew much about them. But the phone calls happen. I get a lot of phone calls saying, oh, you played such and such. Where would you say they were good? Where would you say they were bad? I don't try and give it all away because sometimes I need the team that are asking me to lose. But I won't ever lie. But I might just say, look, they're handy here, etc. And they may have some weaknesses here. But it's hard. That's probably the toughest aspect of the game, is knowing who's turning up. But I fully believe that if we're committed to the game, we can beat anyone on our day, and that's what we've been doing for years, and what we strive to do and continue to do moving forward. We always want to be competing for the league. Now the competition in the league is high. It's higher than it's ever been. There's always been some great teams in the league, but now with Rocker joining, SE Dons, Portland are a good side. Groundhoppers, we didn't play them last year, but they were beating some teams and pulling in some impressive scores. They scored a lot of goals. There's no easy game in our league. So, sometimes you might think, oh yeah, we've got such and such next week. We'll beat them. There's no easy team in our league. This year, I believe Lambeth are joining with Vista, to come into the league, which is going to throw it on its head as well, because they're a very good footballing side, who are going to compete for the league, no doubt, if they can keep the players that they had from last year as well. But equally, you can't write off the teams that I've just been talking about, the Farnboroughs, the Bickleys, and the Lullingstones, which makes the league exciting. I hope I haven't missed anyone. But there's no week can you turn up with a weak team and think that you're gonna win the game. You might, but you need everyone there ready and raring to go to be able to outperform the other side.
So when you play a team like SE Dons, do you or your players feel like there's added pressure because of the cameras?
No, I wouldn't say so, but I would say that there has been an aura of pressure that I've seen happen through games being recorded and then what happens on social media after. I'd say I'm luckily enough that I haven't seen it through my team in terms of performance when we've played against them. They've beat us a few times. We've beat them once, I think. But I definitely feel that aura of filming games has transcended into social media, which has thrown a lot of teams off. Definitely. And credit to them for what they're doing. They know that. I know a lot of the boys down there. Big G used to be our goalkeeper before he went on the journey with them. And they're doing great things for Sunday football and shining the light on that. Long may that continue. Because we have got some very talented individuals playing in the league. And some of the stuff that they're doing in terms of exposure and giving back into the community is something that everyone should be striving to deliver. So hats off to them for stuff like that they're doing, and hopefully they can continue to do that and be supported to do so.
I completely agree. What was your best moment last season?
This feels like so long ago now, man.
It's been 13 weeks since your last game, I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
I think beating Portland, I think we beat them every time we played them this year. The reason why I say that is because they were talking a lot on the internet. I know all of them near enough. Good friends of mine for a long time, played with a lot of them semi-professionally for a while. And yeah, it's always good banter, but the bar after is just booming. Like we're all good friends. There's no, regardless of what you hear on the internet, in the bar after the game, regardless of what the score is, it's always positive, happy vibes and stuff. And I think our last game against them, we were 2-0 up, cruising. Then they got back into the game as we knew that they would. It went 2-2. They had a few chances where if they score for me, they win the game. but they didn't. Shakes pulled off some amazing saves, and then we go and nick a last-minute penalty, literally in the 9 minutes of the game, score that, and they go very quiet. So I would definitely say that was a highlight. And now thinking about highlights, you've just made me think about my worst. My worst game was actually probably against Hatcham. Thinking about it now,
Why?
we were 3-0 up with maybe 10 minutes to go, and drew 3-3 from 2 mistakes. So they scored a good goal. Their first goal was very good, and then I think last couple of minutes, Humphreys come on, and I know Humphreys, he was a goal scorer at Beckenham. I was like, you lot need to switch on now, like even more so, because Humphreys don't normally miss. We made 2 mistakes and he scored 2 goals. And if the game would have went on any longer, they would have beat us. So that at that time as well, had we have won, I think in and around us lost, we would have gone top with I think a game in hand and maybe 1 or 2 points clear. The Dons still had to play loads of games, and they were the only team that could have probably caught us, but then we still had to play them twice as well. So drawing that game, even though things later in the weeks, things happened that again went in our favour, but still threw the league wide open. If we'd have won that game, we would have been sitting a bit more comfortable at the top of the league. So yeah.
Would you say that game you could have made a change that could have helped you, or do you feel like?
No, I think in that game potentially some of the changes cost us. We had a few players missing in central midfield, and then there was people fatiguing that we then had to swap things around or not getting into the game. And I feel some of that change threw the balance into their favour. But yeah, just as a whole, I don't think we were committed enough in that game to see it out. Like I'm a very big advocate of managing the game yourself on the pitch, and I don't think we did that well enough. We didn't compete. We stopped competing. We stopped dictating the ball, and as soon as we did that, we allowed them back into the game. And we were 3-0 up and comfortable. Like it looked like it was going to go on to be a hell of a lot more than 3-0. For some reason, we took our foot off the gas. And sometimes the players have to take the accountability for that. I will where I think I got things wrong. Like I said, I feel maybe we made too many changes that disrupted the pattern of the game. But ultimately, they're still good enough to be on the pitch. Therefore, they should have been able to see that one out. But it wasn't the case.
How tempted was it to sub yourself on?
I wasn't in the squad that game, but yeah, I should have played. I think I was carrying an injury. Otherwise, with the midfielders out, I probably would have. That would have been a game that I would have played in, to be fair. But I got injured in January, and even now, I'm struggling with my knee. My knee. See, but yeah, it's probably a bad one that I need to go and get checked out. To be fair,
I hope it's not ACL, by the way, because that is painful.
No, yeah, I hope not as well. It's just been with this COVID stuff. I was waiting for a scan, and then COVID hit, and I'm like, yeah, I can wait, kind of thing, until that's gone. Then I'll start to go to the hospital for stuff. But I'm hoping it's not too bad. But yeah, at the minute, I couldn't get through even 45 minutes if I tried. I've been doing some strengthening on it, which has made it feel a lot better. But I'm still feeling pain, and like I said, I did it at the end of January. We're nearly at the end of June or mid-June. So it's quite some time ago.
No, I hope you recover soon. You can get back to playing.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But is there anyone you want to shout out, or anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, I just think Kenningwell as a whole, man, this year is going to see a lot of changes. The Black Lives Matter movement is something that we're definitely going to be pulling behind. And a lot of people are thinking, it's a black versus everyone. It's not. It's about racism, and it's something that we want to definitely kick out of our local community and football as a whole. We've got black, white players. We've got players from wherever, you name them. It doesn't matter about the colour of your skin. It matters about treating people equally and fairly. And that's what the club stands for. Do you know what I mean? Providing a platform for people to come and enjoy themselves. And long may that continue, regardless of where you're from. It's just about respect for everybody that comes around us, really. So that's all I'd like to shout out, really. Just watch what we've got coming. there's a lot of content that we're looking at putting out this year, and a few new signings that are coming. I can't tell you about yet, but yeah, hopefully it should be a good season. It's going to be the most competitive one for a while. So I hope that there's a lot of eyes and a lot of supporters that come down just to watch the games, because it needs it. This is where it starts for a lot of people's kids. So why not come down and support the clubs that are providing the platform for their kids to play football? Not just parents, but that's a wider community of individuals as well.
100%. No, I'd say to the people that think it's the people that say it's all lives matter. No. You need to go do your research and then you come back and then talk about it. I support the movement. I'm gonna have like petitions down below for everyone to go and sign.
Wicked, yeah.
So I completely agree with you, and I respect everything you're doing. But thank you so much for coming on. I really
appreciate your time. No, and you, man. Thank you for having me.
No, you're most welcome. We'll stay in contact. I want to hear these new signings. So I got my eyes peeled.
We'll get you down. Don't worry. We've got a show ready for you.
No, thank you so much.
No, you're more than welcome.
I wish you and Kenningwell the best. I'm going to come down and watch a few games myself. But thank you everyone for watching. Please subscribe. Please like. Please follow. And yeah, peace.
Take care, man.